Nottingham 2024 UK Nationals, and we are moments away from getting started to decide who will be the crown champions of the mixed division 2024. Two teams undefeated thus far in the standing. It is a replay of the regionals final from the southern region. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Lorcan Murray. And Lorcan, tell us a little bit about the journey of these two teams to get to this stage in the tournament.
Well, like you say, Hannah, they are completely undefeated. Reading came in topping their group of Lemmings, Glasgow and Thundering Herd before moving on to the semi-finals, whereas Deep Space beat Heck, BN1 and Newcastle Brown. Then both teams in their semi-finals fairly effectively, shall we say, dismissed Lemmings and Heck respectively. So coming into this, I think it was 15-8 and 15-7 were the two semi-finals. So separating themselves from their competition, but not so much from each other. Established powers in the mixed division. Deep Space, of course, reigning champions, both Europe and in GB, as they beat Lemmings in the final last year. Reading, who have almost seemed like a permanent emplacement in the mixed division here in the UK. In and around, they've got international experience. They've played at World Clubs, they've played at European Championships, they've won European Championships, they've won Great British Championships, and they are littered with talent and depth. Two resolute and robust clubs who will be matching up here today. I'd say the edge would probably consensually be given, or in a term of consensus, be given to Deep Space, but Reading have plenty of opportunities and plenty of weapons to bring to bear against Deep Space.
Well, both these teams, of course, will be featuring in the EUCS ranking points mean prizes affair. I believe that they're both signed up to use this one. Indeed they are, so it's all going to count. The last time they met in the European season, it was indeed a draw. Sorry, not draw, a universe point finish. Of course, that's what I actually mean. And the last time these two met at regionals, it was a slower going game though. 10-9 the final score to Deep Space, the victors. But starting us off, Denniston from Cauldron, and a huge hold on for Mitamendi. Cauldron with the backspace matched up wonderfully against Emma Klima, of course. And that one through to Halkyard. And that's a one tight window for Rachel Naden. Jen Hagan, of course, taking the big defensive matchups for the female matching side on Reading's D-line. And that is a bit of a miss thrown to coverage.
Talking about matchups on the female matching side, Klima against Cauldron is another one that will be very entertaining to keep an eye on.
So the first chance at a break, Wong has that inside channel. It's going to sail over and be taken away for a hot yard, and then run through. Oh my goodness, that was close as it gets for Itamendi. A player who so consistently delivers scandalous catches. And the holster there from Hutchison. Feathery inside flick. And a pick call will give us a moment of pause.
Nice bit of switching away from the action by Deep Space, trying to limit the options as they make these big sweeping cuts, and as they come back under, just flashes into the lane by Deep Space.
Nice easy pop into the paws of Hutchison. Opens up that big left arm. Wilson underneath it, being chased down by Denniston. And there's a little bit of a push. That one probably was going out of bounds, but Sam Wilson has quite a vertical, and certainly probably could have had a go at greatest.
You can see the help defense in full effect from Layla Denniston, peeling off the back of that stack to come and support Jack Halkyard as he was trying to chase after Sam Wilson. That push right at the edge of inbounds, so might be a bit of a bailout foul by Denniston.
I mean, just don't end up pushing each other.
That's when you're that far out of bounds already, it wasn't ever really going to be catchable.
Well, it seems like they've gone for the turnover and the retracted foul call by everyone walking away from the disc. I think that is the right outcome of that. It was an ambitious throw from Hutchison, but full stretch now required for Deep Space.
Don't want to give up a break on the first point of the game.
Oh, leave the cone alone. If you put your pivot on the line, it's out, folks. As we all know from watching people reeling goals. Naden, far sideline. Of course, this is a battle between the two captains of the GB Women's Programme. Naden on deep space, and Brew will be featuring on the O-line of Reading at various points, I'm sure. It's Amendi now in acreage underneath. Cook over to Caudron. Doesn't like it. Lena Denniston trying to get everyone organised downfield, signalling the front of Stack. Nice easy one there. You see there's difficult matchups all across this field. Naden with the high release, beautiful floaty backhand. And I tell you what, Lorcan, we have to talk about this weather that allows that throw, because it's sunny, it's still, it's a beautiful July afternoon.
Okay, yes, but it is still Nottingham, so I don't expect that to last much longer than 10 minutes. Again, deep space. So you said they had to go the full breadth. They also had to go the full width as they finish at the front corner on the opposite sideline to the one they started in, but showing tireless cutting, big gains on the under, and then quick pop-offs to each other to keep the flow going. It's so difficult to stop that kind of continuation as we see Naden reach around and lift over the top for Idermendi. Nice little toe tap on the backside, but just showing the full depth and their ability to work through all of their players on the second time of asking. So now Reading going to send that O-line out here.
Well, a clean start to the game we do not have. Reading already asking some questions of deep space. But will they look back on that one with gritted teeth? We'll have to find out as this game continues. Lovely to have alongside us so many watching live. If you are indeed enjoying this coverage in real time, then feel free to jump into the comments, say hello. We've already had some people expressing their opinions about the call from Wilson. I've never seen a call that a crowd's enjoyed.
The end of that open final call was a little curious.
Yeah, very strange indeed. Very halcyon uni vibes. If you know, you know. Thompson on the far sideline. There's a big poach off on the far swing, but Brew up line instead is the choice. We saw Hannah Brew earlier on in the tournament throwing at will pretty much anywhere on the pitch. That's a big old backhand that's going to sail, be difficult for Colicchio, and it's friendly fire that spoils the pass off the throat. I think that must be Sarah Jeffrey. Nearly gets it back. Georgie Hill clings on. That one through. Thompson also trying to find her ambition. It's a big backhand this way, and this time it's Gibson, but Connor Hogan with an emphatic celebration of his block.
Do you think that was that in, Hoagie? No. It was out.
Well, someone's lost their hat in the middle of the pitch. Not sure exactly who.
So that shot to Kovshov was just a little undercooked. He had the separation, but the opportunity to catch up was given to the Reading defenders.
Nedic. With Brew making a slash cut from the far sideline. Slightly controversial. Another big boost from the female matching players. There's a bit of collision underneath it, but Colicchio is more than happy to go toe-to-toe with Ian Tate. Now there's a switch off downfield. Moss, just a lack of attention there with a call being made elsewhere on the field. Discuss the timing. Looks to be a pick.
I think something, if we look at from the Reading offense side, they clearly want to be setting up these deep shots to Colicchio. Even that one that him and Hoagie kind of D'd each other on, that was an undercut where he was open, flashed for a quick second, planted, and as soon as he planted and turned around, the deep shot was up looking for him. As it's agreed there, Moss, that was just a drop. It's going to be Brew to get things started.
Well, equal to the first point. We now have 4 turnovers in this opening offensive attempt for Reading. It's a lovely one around for Jeffrey. Keeps her eyes on the prize. Dishes. Oh, that one just about rescued by Hannah Brew. I think it was intended for Hogan. but just miscued, and it's Becky Thompson. A little bit of moment and a kick spike caught by Georgie Hill to accelerate the pace of this game.
I like the team spike. That's always fun if you can involve other people. I also really like that cut from Luka Nedic. Timed it perfectly with the pop to Conor Hogan. He cut and drew the defensive's attention to the far corner, which just left that nice little space for Thompson to attack into. So cutting for each other, so crucial. The mixed level, and you were talking earlier about how Deep Space really put all the work in, so they play true mixed ultimate. And so much of that is about generating space, understanding the weight of your presence and the attention that you attract. As you can see there, Nedic cutting off to the far side of your screen. Thompson celebrates.
And of course, appropriate a kick spike for an athlete who enjoys a fair bit of soccer and keepy uppies. Keepy yuckies.
That sounds like what a 3-year-old who hates soccer would call it. I don't want to do my keepy yuckies.
Well, I think my favourite quote from the entire championship, which was in a mixed division game, I will save the blushes and not say who it is, but the young child, and from the mouths of babes comes the truth. There was a quote of, Daddy said that this team were rubbish. 10 points down. Daddy was wrong.
It's a sad moment when you learn the fallibility of your parents.
Well, I think it's the idea of when you're playing against the other top 8 teams in the UK, you need to respect every game and every opponent, but that's great work. Really fluidly moving the disc across the far sideline. Naden now finds Cook. Big old attempt at the run-through block there. Now it's Fansale, who's unleashed the power buns. Absolute superstar athlete, and has really fallen into the fold nicely. Of course, we'll be playing in the women's division at World Championships later on this season with many of her compatriots here on Deep Space. Cordrin amongst those, and Naden. Now it's Squires on the far side. Love that initiation, just such a commanding turn round to Cordrin. Now it's Amendi. Little hip scoop for the catch. Cook anchoring almost every other. Now to Naden. A little bit of lateral movement. Hulkyard thinking about it. Oh, it's the hammer over to Cordrin. Love to see it. Great execution and a little bit of cleanliness at long last. 16 passes.
Really nice work. Deep Space made it to past the halfway point in about 3 passes, and then spent the next 13 just working it around, poking and prodding, looking for the holes in the Reading defence. At times it even looked like there was a couple of 70-30 chances for them to shoot to the end zone. They don't want to take them on. They know if they just keep recycling, opportunities will come. As you can see, Naden just out of frame as a cut to the front corner that was very tightly patrolled by Lewis. Instead they go the hammer to the straight other side, and Cordrin picks it up. So that ability to switch the width and move through all of your players as required is what makes Deep Space so deadly. And we can have a quick look there at just understandably, when you said finally we have a clean hold, it was a bit of a messy opening 2 points. I mean, 8 turnovers on the first 2 points is a lot.
But look at the completion rate though for the O-line versus O-line. It's the total completed passes for both teams is 34 and 11 respectively. We'll let you judge which the total belongs to which side. But of course we're still early days.
Still on serve as well. So no one disrupting the flow of the game yet.
But at the moment it feels like Deep Space are the slightly more patient affair. Thompson with no mark really whatsoever puts a curving flick up for Colicchio, and that will be on the money. The big man delivers.
I think Stephen Millard's going to be a little annoyed with himself. He had position and he gave it up as Colicchio takes care of the baby. I'm not entirely sure what that celebration was, but congratulations.
Well, I have to say I'm a big fan of Colicchio. Not the most loved person in the mixed division this season, but you have to respect the well-honed team celebrations. We've already seen one, that's the other. How many will they deliver us over the course of this match?
They were still on the phone to each other about 30 seconds after that score. So you can see there's a definite focus on sending it deep to Colicchio from the Reading offense. They've done it several times so far. And great reason why when you've got that much height and that much control in the air. Gets the little stutter step, 1 foot up, and attacks it from the top shelf. And that's where the best stuff is always kept. Colicchio pulling it out and getting the score, but Reading clearly trying to set up those deep looks and those deep shots will be interesting. They had Ian Tate, they switched over to Stephen Millard, neither of them really worked. What else can they do to try and limit that lethality?
I think you just have to have the communication from the sideline. In the same way, if you get the yell, and it's very, very common in the UK to hear people shout "Hucker, Hucker" when a big thrower has the disc. So I think you have to be mindful, and it's almost like you need an extra excitement and veracity in your sidelining when you see a big thrower with a disc like Thompson, and also Colicchio running towards the end zone. But there was not really any determinable mark. Great use of the break side. Alex Thacker got caught a little bit soft on her match defense, but deep space now. Squires, again, love the way he initiates those resets, just stares them down, makes it very obvious. Van Sale now. And it's nice to see actually the number 7 for Reading cleating up, Ben Withers, carrying a lower leg injury. Squires now, though, with that mark. High arcing backhand. Itamendi sets it up very nicely. Lewis on the shoulder. Puts the hand out in apology for the contact, but that was a fantastic battle to watch.
The 7 cut from the number 7. Alvaro Itamendi, we were talking about how impressive he was last year for deep space and for Spain Open as well at the Euros, a stalwart player. But that 7 cut in the end zone is fantastically set up. You drag your defender across with a diagonal cut to a back corner. Because it's the end zone, they have to respect it. If they don't, you can just hit them in that back corner, but you plant, leave them running towards the one back corner, turn, go to the opposite one, just out of frame there. You can see the entire time Squires is watching, gets the fake to tell him that's when you turn, and sits it out there. Lewis does his absolute best, and in order to even get near to influencing the catch, he has to foul. Excellently set up, excellent use of body position. Squires and Itamendi combined to keep deep space 1 ahead and on serve. A flawless hold, their 2nd of the game.
Well, you can really see in the offensive passes that are being thrown the difference between the styles of the two teams. You've got a more huck-happy Reading that are clearly using that deep space that we've already talked about, and deep space using the smaller
are
balls.
Reading what's available to them very effectively.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hitting those gaps when they appear.
But of course, we have seen a national title go to a team that were favouring those deep shots in the women's division.
That's one way to describe it, yeah.
One suspects that this game, largely by virtue of the completely different wind conditions, will have certainly far fewer turnovers than the first of the 3 finals delivered us.
There's a lot of turnovers early on in the 2nd final as well.
So Jeffrey, that's massive pressure from Tate on Nedic. Over to Hogan. We do not have Colicchio on the pitch at the moment. So getting a more look at this more underneath dominated style from Reading. Jeffrey with a huge layout, but it just bobbles off of her fingertips. That was a big ask from Thompson.
It's a lot of pressure. Gibson putting a lot of pressure on Thompson, but interesting choice, like you say, no Colicchio out here. And it is still 4 male matching players, so deciding to go with a different offensive look from Reading.
You do have Joe Brown out on the field, who is a fantastic receiver, and of course, when Connor Hogan, the unstoppable boulder, goes up pitch, he'll reel in a few of their own, but unfortunately, Thomas up the line, and the throw is poor.
So Reading get another look, and this does seem like it's more of a lateral-focused offensive set.
Well, they are going for that 6-1 approach, trying to isolate space for their big throwers, and that worked out for Hogan, but there's nothing available upfield, so it's the teddy bear roll for Nedic instead. Correa flashes across, it's Thompson underneath instead, with that betaped right knee. Flat for Brown. Sandwell has a sniff at it, but decides not to try and do anything funky. Now Fee Ray, formerly Deep Space, of course, was on their roster last year for the medal win at the European Championships. Great shutdown from Sarah Halkyard. Now it's Hogan to Brown. Thompson has Hogan with a couple of steps. Kovshov on the attack. Oh my goodness, how did he catch that?
Miraculous. I mean, he's reprising his role from Indiana Jones, but this time he gets what he wants. Conor Hogan stealing that away from some intensive pressure. Kovshov and as well Millard was also there, and sandwiched in between them, he just reaches out and plucks that like a golden goose feather and brings it down.
Well, those two definitely have thrown a number of trust balls to each other this season. I was on the defending end of one back at the mixed regionals in the southern region. But I think that's actually Ian Tate on the other side of it. Doesn't quite have the catch-up speed, the big man, but Kovshov had every right to get the block there with position, but just the...
Well, that's it. So watch, Kovshov comes in and will take it if it drops low. Ian Tate's there if it goes higher. Conor Hogan is there for exactly where the disc arrives. That is what I'm talking about when I say reading. Eponymous in his application of his club team.
Absolutely no shame whatsoever, and I love it. Conor Hogan, you and you, I skied both of you.
See, that's that pleasant taunting, that smack talk that I've always been a big fan of. And I was thinking as I watched him do a little dump cut move earlier on that I've been watching Conor Hogan be excellent at Ultimate for 15 years at this point.
As we say, who needs Colicchio when you've got a Hogan? I mean, you do like to have them.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, why not both? ¿Por qué no los dos? Right, so, Squires. With some nice energy, has Itamendi in acreage. Oh, ho, 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 that was a slicey biscuit. Nearly falls and falters. The wind starting to rise a little bit more and pushing these discs down every so often. That one thrown in stride, reaches Naden's ankles. Great pickup. Pick call will bring us back. Don't think it affected that swing pass, Lorcan, do you?
I think you're allowed to take that one back.
Big shot around all the way to Cook. Inside break. Oh, what a shot that was. Exploits the fact that Wilson got a little bit too poachy towards the player.
And that's the second time that Wilson poaching has been taken advantage of. I think it was earlier Squires who did it so effectively. Did a fake, pulled Wilson into the middle of the pitch and then took on a sweeping flick break that went all the way diagonally across the pitch to Itamendi. But fantastic use of controlling your opponent's defensive shape through your fakes, through your actions, your lies, as well as the things that you follow through on. So understandably, as we are all tied up, we see again that poach getting abused by the excellent throwing of Reading. It does seem a little bit to me right now that Deep Space are succeeding through their structure, Reading are succeeding through their talent. We will see how that progresses as the game goes on. This is currently Deep Space 4, Reading 3.
Everything on serve here in the mixed division final at Nationals 2024. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Lorcan Murray. What on earth is going to make the difference in this matchup? Because at the moment, it's another close competition between these two teams.
I think right now, and not because they're 1 point up, but I just think Deep Space have the edge. Because it seems like what they're getting right is stuff that they're trying to get right, and what Reading are getting right is stuff they're getting away with. To an extent, like Conor Hogan made a stellar grab. I would not back him against Tate and Kovshov again in this game. Getting a little bit bailed out there. We've seen a couple of those instances, and whereas deep space successes come from their relentless movement, their way they attack, and they're playing together. Now, I'm not saying Reading can't do that at all. This is just an early perception. Reading are getting away with a couple of things, but they've got a lot of ability to tighten up and fight their way back into this matchup. As we look there, you can even tell the tail in the completed passes, fully half of the passes. Now, you got to take into account deep space have had an additional offensive point, but they only threw it 9 times. So that is still, 18 more passes in the opening 3 points each?
Definitely a key difference maker in the way these two teams have looked in the early stages. Nedic looking for that initiation. Jeffrey now switching through. But these lanes getting a little bit stuck, and that one sneaks out just about from Teresa Bignall to connect with Thompson. Things looking a touch cleaner now. Colicchio trying to tempt Brew into almost a full field huck. Oh, that's big pressure from Thacker. Jeffrey around to Brew. Thompson has Bignall upfield. Chooses to wait for the reset from Jeffrey. Things slowing down a little now. Brew rocketing down. This time she is going to go for it. Colicchio has strides, but the wind has other ideas and forces that one down into the turf.
We've seen some peculiar applications of gravity for teams going from left to right. Some of those discs have just dropped out of the sky and players have had to react or be undone rapidly. As you see even there, it looked like it would carry a bit further, possibly even out of bounds, but it just falls like a lead balloon.
So an opportunity again here. It's been clean hold since the first point of the game for deep space, but only the one for Reading. But this will, oh my goodness. Maybe repeat myself because I was just watching Alana Archer track that low disc down. A curious release from Potter. Great cover from Colicchio. Gonna have to throw into a tight window. That is a really great grab from Duncan Rowe. This D-line offense struggling to really get much momentum going.
I think Archer just a little unhappy with Brew. His closeness on the mark. You can see the pressure they're putting on, limiting deep space to those close within their handlers' areas. And then on top of that, some of those catches, that catch by Rowe, immense amount of pressure. It took a lot of focus to be able to bring that down. And then, of course, Archer laying out. So nothing coming easy right now.
Just a brief update for those of you who watched the previous final. The injured player is now leaving the pitch in a vehicle. We send all of our best to him. Bit of a strange one that active play is being allowed to continue whilst the car is leaving the field. However, I think this is an elongated chat between Archer and Brew. Not entirely sure what their call is exactly.
I think it's Archer's saying when I went to pivot around to my flick side, I was stopped by the presence of Brew. Brew is saying, look, you can't, if I'm not moving and you're not moving, you can't then just move into me. That's you fouling me. So it's part of it. If I'm maintaining disc space and I'm adhering to all the other rules, you can't then change it by attacking my physical body. You have to move around me. You have to get to the opposite side. And I like that call early in a game. Establish it now so you know, because I doubt this will be the last time these guys match up.
Well, we've had a hand signal of 0, so whatever it was accepted. Indeed, you're right, but that's a fantastic hand block from Hannah Blue.
Immense. Let's have a minute-long conversation about what we can and can't do on the force, and then at the end of it, I'm going to hand block you.
Well, discus interruptus, and that's a really easy goal for Teresa Bignall. Something went wrong with the defence there, and Thacker throws her hands up in frustration.
Really good work by Reading in the end zone, taking care of business. But again, incredible display of talent from Hannah Brew's individuality that got her that hand block. Oh, I never really want to give full credit to the person on the mark for a hand block. It's rare that they earned it entirely on their own. It's a 7-person defensive pressure. But Reading saving their blushes. I think you really touched on the crucial difference between these two teams as they're all tied up right now. And it's not so much the passes, it's the cleanliness of their offense. And a rough start for deep space, but they've since corrected it and have had 3 flawless holds. Reading still only have the one. As we have a look, that is a sensational hand block. You're going for the nice soft little dish, and Hannah Brew just taps it down. And then just a nice little bit of work in front of the end zone.
Well, absolutely. At the moment, the success of the D-line for deep space, I mean, 3 for 4 in getting turnovers, that's going to convert into a break at some point, surely.
That's it, exactly. You just keep pushing, you keep creating these opportunities for yourself. And generally, D-lines don't have, if not as talented, certainly not as consistent offenses as Reading. And the inverse of that is also a threat, right? You've given away a couple of chances early. Reading are very, very good. They are playing with a lot of intensity. You see some of these big plays. Brew losing her mind. Hoagie losing his mind. Cliccio and Thompson having that lovely, like that only grows over the course of a game. And this is a championship-laden team. So I don't know if you want to keep squandering those opportunities.
Inside shot contested by Kemp. Another of the deep space roster from last season who finds themselves on this Reading side. That's a high shot. Itamendi is going to have to track that down with perfection. Oh, that's a huge amount of pressure from Sam Wilson, and he just about stays in front to deny the second effort and takes his hat off for good measure.
I like that. He's feeling hot, so he can't be letting it trap in his head. Get that out of there. Really great body position. Took the correct spot, got up, got the touch, and then there might have been a chance for Itamendi to get it back on the second effort, but by that point, Wilson just stayed in his way, gets just enough of a touch. And here, Itamendi has no chance to recover that. Wilson doesn't know where the disc is, but manages to just stay in between him and Itamendi. And they come right back at it.
Well, a bit of looseness gives this opportunity for Reading. Can they make the most of it? Kemp to Hutchinson. Hagan all alone in the deep space, and Nate completely poaches off. A bit of a collision in the stack though, and the foul will be called.
I like the foul call from the ground. So the 2-5 look from Reading, or even 1-6 at times, on their D-line.
Yeah, that's Powell taking the Bosch.
I feel like 1-6 is not, as we have a little look at the contact.
just having a little giggle. Max Squires, you naughty boy. It's not an obstacle course. It's not like we're on It's a Knockout. We're not in some sort of inflatable thing where you're attached to a bungee cord. I mean, all's fair in love and Frisbee. I'm sure he didn't intend to. Powell, though, the layout is asked of her after taking that little knock, and she cannot get there. So a squandered opportunity. No team yet to get a break in this matchup. So if it all goes to serve, it will be deep space with the win. But there's going to be a discussion between Hutchison and Hulkyard. I keep wanting to say Hulkyard, but I get told off by Sarah. Not so much Jack for mispronouncing the surname.
Well, I suppose Sarah isn't playing here right now. Let's go with Hulkyard.
She's not currently on the pitch.
Yeah,
she will forever be Sarah Hills to me, though. It's a great star name. Max Squires, though. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of strong British names. Squire has Fansale if he needs her, but it's through to Hulkyard. Now it's Amendi. Just watching him throw and go is so entertaining. High value. Caudron now, a little bit of a scoop backhand from Fansale. Just slowly matriculating their way towards the end zone. Naden now in a little bit of isolation space, but it's a bit too late. The resets win the day. Oh, that's a lovely move and a beautiful throw. And to continue into the end zone, Jack Hulkyard with the goal.
Really nice play by Deep Space, just working through all of their elements, attacking relentlessly and finding the spaces for each other. So Reading getting the second turn of this game, but then just giving the disc back, and you got to think these opportunities are going to be thin on the ground as the game progresses. But nice response from Deep Space to hold on and recover. I'm curious to see who will be able to get their noses out in front first.
Well, at the moment, it's just whichever team can play better offense when they get their opportunities. That seems to have been the symptom across both sides, is just generating pressure and doing not a whole lot with it.
But you've got to give a credit to the tenacity of the O-lines, being able to turn around and exert that kind of pressure. Make sure it doesn't go too far against them. As we have a quick look at the completed passes. So that's 9-8, but no breaks either side. And that is a comparison of, say, Deep Space's 3 possessions with the disc on their D-line compared to Reading's 2. So not great numbers.
Well, there's a reason they get put on the D-line, I suppose.
Because they're athletic and decisive. And we're willing to work harder than all the lazy O-line people. Sorry, I don't even play anymore. Just the D-line coming out.
Wait, have you formally retired, Lorcan?
I think I formally retired a couple of years ago, Hannah.
Victim of the pandemic, perhaps. So, Brew and Ray at the back. Fiona Ray now clearing out, taking the poachy mark of Gibson with her. Brown to Nedic. And then Hannah Brew has a big target streaking deep, but doesn't fancy the big shot to Roshan Courier. Now Fee Ray sneaks away. There's a pick that's elsewhere, so that's got to be perfect if it was after the throw.
I think it was Gibson calling the pick.
I think they'll get redeemed for that one, but that was a spicy shot coming out of Joe Brown.
So it's going to go back. Yep, looks like it'll be coming back in on 3, or else I might be wrong about that and Gilboy's just holding up his hand in general.
Yeah, I'm with you. It definitely could be for nothing. Could be the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Either way, that was a relatively early stall throw, and Reading finding themselves in a little bit of trouble here. Hulkyard. Oh my goodness, that's a huge layout block from Ian Tate out of nowhere.
Searing through and taking flight to get that on the sideline. I'm not a huge fan of 1-6, and especially when you set it up the way Reading are setting it up, almost as if it's just a 2-5 but with one less handler. I think the stack needs to be a bit closer.
Oh, and that was whistle clean and all. Can they do anything with it? It's Gibson running towards the end zone. That's an amazing recovery though. Fee Ray, the leg cannons deny another target.
I like that look from Gilboy. Very much looked on, but Gibson almost not wanting to compete in the air and waiting for it to come to her, so she left that lane open and Ray steams through and gets the crucial knockaway. So another chance for a break gone wanting. That's 4 out of 5.
I don't know, man. I think that's all about the closing speed of Fiona Ray, just absolutely careering down that far sideline. She's always been so rapid. Early career, she was really renowned for those last-minute run-through blocks, but that one, just straight line speed. Hogan thinking about it. Kovshov trying to get the cheeky foot block. Brunel, loads of momentum. Fallen mark. Hulkyard recovers her feet. Bignell. Of course, just the better half, should we say. I think that's how we traditionally say it in the UK, of the Bignell couple. One of the founding members of this club. Wonderful to see her representing in the hot red shorts. So an injury call for Hills, being replaced by Nadem. That's a big power move to bring across.
Right as you get the disc.
Oh yeah. And she'll be matching up against fellow GB women's captain Hannah Brew.
Well, that's what we were hoping for. Got to lay it all out in the line as the championship finals.
Base for pride as well, you know. Bragging rights in Australia. Nah, they're not those kinds of people. Entertaining as the thought is for the rest of us. Gilboy has Naden in a little bit of space, but just chooses to send it. Oh, the back through! What a fantastic ram! Duncan Rowe! Wow!
So I'm just going to really quickly bring in our resident coach, Sean Colfer. In that situation, should you catch your Ds?
Absolutely. Catch that D, please.
I can't believe that. I had a couple of things I wanted to say about Reading's 1-6. We're going to just need to talk about that. First off, I don't know how Rowe makes that catch. That is a reflex grab. Just have another look. Gilboy clearly has a shooting license in this game. There's the touch from Klitschko.
Oh, that's so embarrassing. You could easily catch that.
Look at that pass from Rowe, though. The way that he, first off, amazing reflex snag, and then just so flashy in how he lays that up, swings his arms. The butt rake is out. As right now, there's a danger of them leaving Reading in the dust.
I've got to say, Lorcan, you've been called out in the live chat. Dean, Lorcan acting like he didn't play Irish Nationals last year.
I didn't play Irish Nationals last year.
Did you not?
I don't think so.
Maybe there's someone, clearly someone's created.
Is this
and
Dean
cloned.
McCreary? Because I don't think that's a reliable news source.
Oh, maybe
he's thinking of my brother. He's thinking of Finn.
The wrong Murray. I mean, you sort of look alike with your brother.
I mean, that's a great compliment to me and a harsh burn on him. But, he parties hard. I don't think he's gained 10 years under his eyelids, but...
Well, I mean, tell you what, Colicchio is definitely going to watch that one back with gritted teeth. But, of course, plenty of game left to play. Only halfway through, and we're not even at half-time yet. It's another proper battle between these two club sides, of course, is to remind you, when they matched up in the final of mixed regionals, it was Deep Space who took it only by 1 point. And of course, they had a very interesting meet-up at the Elite Invite with a interruption and a game delay for injury. That one also went all the way down to the wire. I know, because I was watching it, have the footage on my phone. Andy Lewis around to Greer, formerly of Smog. Although Andy Lewis has been playing pretty consistently for Reading since his days as a junior. See him sauntering around there in the burgundy trackies. Wong now. One of two Wong sisters at this tournament. Grab and a half for Hutchison. He is a lefty, though. That is his dominant hand. Wilson. That's a lovely find. Trying to hit Kemp. Greer trying to go over the top, but Halkyard early and strong. There may be a call. Indeed, it's an injury for Alana Archer. That would be a big loss. But she seems all smiles, and she's covered in so much compression. Oh, so early.
So clean as well. That was absolutely fantastic. I think it was just a little bit of a follow-through on the part of Kelsey Stolen. No. It was a little bit of follow-through anyway into Alana Archer from Deep Space.
Yeah, I think that's Zaza Kemp.
Little Denison. The snake in the grass doesn't work if you're behind the thrower.
Oh, I love to see it. There's so much joy here in the UK.
It's been a really fun, really well-spirited set of finals that we've had.
Well, we've had really well-spirited all of our games pretty much on this live stream. Oh, that's a blade and a half. I love that idea. The wind starts to get a little bit more blustery. Now, Denniston on the far sideline, the replacement for Archer. Again, talk about great injury subs coming in. Potter going to look for the give-go up line, receives it. Oh, that's a lovely poach off from Joe Brown. Is leaving someone free, though. Great cover from the rest of the defenders of Reading. It's a solid red zone defence to try and hold on and not concede another break in a row. Denniston, the lefty. Potter clearing. And so it's the around. Nice moves from Saville, but Jack Halkyard. Cheeky one inside to Tate. Doesn't try to get too greedy. Oh, it's an easy dish, though, in the end. Potter just sneaks in front of Imi Wong, and that will be 2 breaks on the bounce for Deep Space.
I think Imi Wong just got pulled to the wrong side of Potter ever so slightly. You should never have a 2-step cut to be free from the front of the stack. If you take 1 step as the front of the stack in the end zone, I think you should be hitting chest. As you see, but the relentless recycling, They don't mind sending it back across to the open side, and then Denison took on several crucial breaks so that Reading could never compact their defence and really put pressure onto deep space. And again, really great work on the other side from Tate as well to move that force across and get the finishing move to, with a Snape salutation, Potter for the score. It's so hard not to do that every single time I read her name.
Well, Reading calling a wise timeout to take some moment to recompose themselves, staring down the barrel of a potential half-time taken by deep space, if they can get another break on the board, of course. Don't go anywhere, folks. Let's see how this first half will continue.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Deep space poised on the verge of a commanding lead here. Taking half 8-4 would be something quite gargantuan here in the mixed division finals at UK Nationals 2024. But Reading will have something to say about those kind of comments. And I'm sure it will be that, hey, they got 2 breaks. We could get 2 breaks.
Well, they're going to need to put together a couple more breaks than that to get back into it. They did start the game on defense, so it's not the worst thing in the world if they go in down at halftime. They definitely want to shorten that gap. The 2 lines from Reading, not differing based on O and D, but in fact just sticking to those rigidly so they can build the cohesion. How do you feel about that, Hannah?
I mean, it depends on your personnel. I think you have to say that these 2 lines are pretty well staffed. You have kind of a lot of players that are actually used to playing both ways. I mean, everyone has their opinions. Certainly that French Open team that had the 3 different lines, no specialism whatsoever. Just didn't, you know.
I didn't have positive opinions about that.
No, I'd say everyone has their strategy, but you know, you've got to try stuff, and at the end of the day, if that's the strategy you're going for, you've got to commit. Don't change it, don't try and pull power lines, don't try and change anything up. Just be consistent, because frankly, it's got them this far. See how they get on as the rest of this game continues. A stall out called on the far sideline for Gibson on Klima.
Even if Klima did get that off, it was barely to Brew under an immense amount of pressure. I think this is probably pretty clearly going to go back.
Well, let's see if we can maybe watch it back and do a bit of counting. 1.
I think that was within 10.
Well, it's going to be called a turnover. I think the average stall count, someone did the nerdery, the average stall count in a game is about 7.5 seconds.
I remember that getting bandied about right before the MLU got launched.
Oh, that's a big miss though. Georgie Hill throwing directly behind the back of Kate Gibson. So Reading fans, I'm sure, will be in the comments saying, disc don't lie. Personally, I don't think the disc has any kind of attributions. We're just getting a correction. I think it's 8.3, the average stall count. Thompson chasing that one down. As Hutchison. This has been a very successful lineup until this point. Klima asking for the room. Oh, that's a big old launch. Andy Lewis underneath it, but too much laser on that backhand. The flatness means it goes flat out of bounds.
There's a bit of clogging happening as well downfield for Reading. Andy Lewis made a phenomenal deep into an undercut and would have gotten about 20 to 25 metres under. But he got cut off by two people clearing, I think, out of the stack or back into it, but just directly in his path. They need to clean that up a little bit more. They seem to have moved away from the 1-6. I don't know if it was conscious or not, almost into a horizontal stack for that point. But they've got to start doing a better job clearing out the open lane for each other. It's a lot of work to put in to not get any reward.
Well, Christoph in our live chat saying the disc is a lie. Don't know if that's an Aperture Science reference, but I'm here for it. Gilboy surveying the options. Kotoff just about grinds free from Lewis on the underneath. Beautiful setup from Kate Gibson. Scrambles to the deck. She's going to go for it. No, she's not.
I love the point and holster.
That I'm going to absolutely lose it, but that's going to be too much for Georgie Hill to handle. Gibson, of course, with those Clapham shorts on. Don't know if there's any affiliation to any members of the Clapham squad. And then Hill seems to be wearing Hawks shorts. Back from her uni days. Eagle eyes up here in the booth, but we'll focus on the Frisbee. Hutchison has Joe Brown going toward the deep space. Fantastic poach off! Just getting in the way is Gibson. And there's no call, just cleanly plays on. Absolute ice in the veins. Launches that one. It's going to go out of bounds. The big collision underneath it. But I don't think that was anyone's from the flight path.
I mean, it curved down towards the end. There's an argument to be made on the part of Kovshov. I don't think it'd be a convincing argument, but
you can try.
That's enough for a contest. You can't bowl someone over as you're both chasing down a disc.
Definitely too much contact. Oh, I don't think that's a huge bosh. I think it's sort of maybe a catch on the back of the cleat as those two run it down. And Hutchison.
It just introduces a grain of doubt into the certainty that would have happened if you've been able to run it down. And like I've said a couple of times over the course of this weekend, it's just the idea of a bailout foul, right? So that would have almost certainly been a turnover.
Well, we had that one
Almost
earlier
certainly.
on in the game with Wilson.
Yep.
So that would be 1 for 1, maybe.
That answers one of our questions, so that is handy.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so the question is, essentially, you initiate contact. I don't necessarily, I feel like you came across, but I don't actually have a very strong perspective, so I was not aware of where you were. I just felt like I was coming across, and then somehow or something came into me. If you're 100% certain, I wouldn't trust you, or I wanted to ask any of the other players what you think. Yeah, well, surprise. When you're moving, go on this side. So you're using, so you're sure I initiate the contact, if I'm saying. If you're not sure which that's if you're sure it's something else.
My perception is you were getting a try and going out with it. My perception kind of went into
Well, spectacular pitch mic there, even catching Becky Thompson. We're going for Ask the Audience, both players trying to get a perspective as to if there was a play available on that disc. So they're asking the same questions we are, Lorcan.
All right, so everybody get out your buzzers and you say foul or no foul.
Clearly we need a soundboard.
What are you talking about? That feels like a direct attack on me.
No. I think it's more the fact of that's not the sound from Millionaire. The Ask the Audience comes from Millionaire.
I was doing 50-50. The kids show from the 90s that you definitely watched.
50-50. Oh, what a classic. Absolute classic. What was your favourite, in the live chat, what was your favourite children's show growing up? We want to hear. We won't talk about it too much, but just for us.
Unless you pick like Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, in which case this becomes a Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles podcast.
Please no. Thacker. Not being shellfish, distributing the disc nicely. Kosh off to Hill, so a contested foul in the end. Oh, that's a big drop.
I think that hit the dirt before it hit Gibson's hands.
It was close. Either way, I'm sure she'll use it to fuel her fire, as she is wont to do. High grab for Thompson. Oh, the thigh recatch. That could have been a very awkward situation if that had been a couple of inches higher. Thankfully not, so spares the pains.
Okay, I was again about to admonish the 1-6 because Thompson was downfield and cut off some of the cutters, but actually it turned out it was a pick. So perhaps in that instance, Brown not as free as I thought he was. But it just seems the 1-6 stack is quite far away from the handler.
It is indeed got a depth on it. I suppose they're trying to back their players downfield to grind those yards under. But it does make the defence's job a touch easier at times. Brew coming underneath. I don't think we've seen Brew strike deep at any point so far in this game. So surprising to see her given that space available underneath, but a timeout being called. Not sure what the stall will be, maybe a couple of beats in. Hannah Brew just deciding, nope, this is not looking like I want it to. Let's have a little think about it.
I'm very interested to see what shape that Reading come out with when they come back from this timeout for two reasons. One, I think they need to add a bit more angle to their 1-6. And if you see some of the Japanese teams play it nationally or at the club level, it's always angled, so that it's not just a 2-5 but with one less handler. It is a different thing that sets up different kinds of cuts. Inside breaks that then set up nice leading, effectively long shots. That's something I don't think Reading have got going too well. And the other side of it is 1-6 is ripe for clamping and for using switch defense. Deep Space have done a little bit of that, certainly to protect their own end zone from deep shots, but with the time to set it up, I'd love to see them apply it to the structure. We'll see when we come back from the timeout.
We certainly will, Lorcan. So Deep Space ahead, 7-4, but yet to get a break here. Can they do it, or will Reading hold?
Oh my goodness, that is unbelievable. And traded the net and made good.
That was absolutely incredible. First half continues here, well into the time slot. 55 minutes expired, and the timeout being taken by Hannah Brew of Reading as she looks upfield and thinks, no, let's have a moment to study the drawing board, shall we?
She is quite the mathematician, or at least she certainly understands angles very well and dissects opponents' defenses. So here you're seeing from the lineup, there's an angle to that 1-6. Now that's a more traditional 1-6 approach. So you see, generally, they're doing that onto the break side. Someone like Lewis, who's at the back of the stack, or maybe Kemp, can make that cut under as one of the dump cuts, and then Thompson is the other one. And it's going to be a lateral cut from Thompson, preferably a break, but perhaps onto the open side, and then sending it to somebody going deep.
Well, we've got the angle that you requested.
No, it looks like match, though. Doesn't look like they're setting up a switch. I think the only difference is maybe a little bit of hanging out deep. So
Yeah.
Kemp has an opportunity to get an immediate under.
Well, clearly not the first option is called in the huddle, so can't exploit that one. Lewis now. That stack getting very close to the sideline, but it's Thompson to grind through, going for the give-go. Doesn't really have the room to make that one. Well defended by Hill. Bit of a collision there, Spice on it, and the overhead shot. That's a scuba for the goal, and Reading keep this first half alive a little longer. Clean with taking that down.
So when Kemp came under, pulled the poach in and allowed for a little bit more space. But that was really good work by Reading to just work down the sideline. The quick pop back. Looked to be in a little bit of trouble at one time, but again, abusing the poach. I think it might have been Brown who eventually makes this cut. So here's the pop. Now this, Lewis winds up here and the stall count gets very high. Thompson doesn't get it, clears out. You can recognize as Kovshov commits this much to the around force, that was just the left arse cheek, I think, of Brown making a cut, pulls in the defense to allow that scuba over the top, and Rowe can't turn around quick enough. I mean, I don't think a cheetah could have. But that was fantastic use against the poach. So Reading recognizing what Deep Space are trying to do, and then taking whatever else is available to them. So that's really, really good offensive structure and something that you can consistently apply over the course of the game. In response, it would be nice to see deep space just communicate a little bit more. So rather than having to themselves, they poach and then they have to correct that themselves, a little bit more switching and heads-up play, and they'd be able to cover each other on those gaps.
Well, Space continuing to put on that extra little bit of pressure. 5 for 6. They've managed to create an opportunity for a break. Whereas, obviously, Reading have only had the 2 points to try. 2 breaks total in the game, though, of course, as we see Klima studying the clipboard.
So that, I do think that wording of that is a little bit confusing sometimes. The D success rate. So what we're talking about there is basically times the D line got the disc. Doesn't necessarily mean they scored, which is why you can get something like 5 out of 6.
Well, it's about how you define success as a defensive line, isn't it? You actually might not get that many breaks in a game. In fact, you might get none at all. But creating that consistent pressure, especially when you're at an opponent that's very well matched like these two teams are, that is how you slowly grind away at your opponent's O-line, or in the case of Reading, just whatever line happens to be on the pitch. But that's a big drop for Amy Van Sale, just bobbling around and losing possession.
Rare drop as well. Okay, big opportunity.
Well, this will create 3 for 6 points, in which Reading have come out on defense to try and snag their way back into this game. Wong has Hagen there. Oh, but that's a big drop as well. The wind starting to rise, the cloud cover giving us a bit of a chill. But can Deep Space apply the blanket? That foily space blanket. Oh my goodness, that's going to come off. Oh, wow.
I agree with Halkard. I agree. You don't celebrate that. You're just like, yep, cool, walk off. That's half. That's half. We're out. We're out. I was ready to sing Alex Greer's praises. He absolutely shut down, I think it was Cook, in the dump handler position and forced that difficult throw. I mean, for about 3-4 seconds, it was just lockdown defense and forced that. Was it Wilson who just got suckered in a little bit underneath it? It carries over him. Great showing by Reading. Really unfortunate way for that point to end, but I think on those last 2 possessions, speaking about deep spaces and then them on the previous point, they've shown they've definitely got what it takes to get back into this match. It was Cook as well that Greer was shutting down. Yeah, that's how you celebrate scoring like that, Halkard. I agree wholeheartedly.
Well, at the moment, the turnover is almost level in the game, but more coming from Reading's O-line than their D-line. But that will wrap us up for the first half. Don't worry, though, folks. I'm sure Reading will have some thoughts coming into the second half. But can Space just turn on the afterburners and cruise through to another championship? Find out in the second half.
I'm Steph Pazzo, and I must eat.
Sometimes commentator, sometimes food eater.
On my ultimate travels in 2023, I sampled culinary classics from all across Europe.
Oh, wow.
Guided by some of your favorite ultimate players.
That's the Dutch hospitality for you right there.
I'll give you an insight into the secret spots that only the locals know of.
Are these the best schnitzels in Vienna?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
Go find Steph Pazzo on YouTube. Like and subscribe and follow the European Ultimate Must Eat series.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Second half about to get underway here in the mixed division final in Highfields, the sports complex of the University of Nottingham. 2024. Is it going to be another deep space medal at the end of today? Our final of 3 finals. To get a little shot there of our glam cam gimbal operator, Isla Ate. And of course, the real heroes of this coverage. It's not us you hear in the booth, it's the hard-working folks you see very rarely operating the cameras, doing a stellar job in the wind, in the rain. We do have a bit more shelter today up on the balcony. But The real heroes bringing you this coverage, and we hope you are enjoying it. Jump into the live chat. Let us know who you're cheering for. At the moment, the underdogs are Reading.
I know they've fallen off over the last couple of years. That still seems like a weird thing to say. It's true, but...
Well, I mean, people were saying that Smash D in the Open division had fallen off a bit of a cliff talent-wise, and then they went and beat Alba in the opening game of the tournament here on our live stream. So,
lost the bronze medal game on Universe to Smog.
oh, that's a big miss there. Colicchio finds a bit more of a matchup in the form of Ian Tate this time. Thompson with the feet flying, trying to steal the disc away. Matching up with Potter. Now Kovshov. Back to Emily Potter. Another separation between the stack and the handlers. So, in the middle to Stephen Millard. Of course, he knows all of these Reading players very well, having formerly been part of the Reading mixed squad. But stolen away to deep space. No, I'm sure it's just by virtue of a geographical move. Tate. Has Kovshov. Bit of traffic though, denies it. Oh, and that's a massive layout block for Becky Thompson. Exploits the confusion, gets horizontal.
Bit of traffic and a whole lot of Thompson. That came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I like that. You get the layout D, you circle, celebrate, catch your breath, come back and pick up the disc. I love that move.
Cool guys don't look at explosions, they blow stuff up and then walk away. Gilboy trying to do some damage of his own. Love the cleanliness of these bids as well. High level of physicality with no touching whatsoever. Call me prudish, but I'm a big fan. That one, oh, just about flips up. Going to be called down by Gilboy upfield.
Yeah, that seemed pretty clearly up from us in the booth, and they agree on the pitch. This is the problem with the 1-6. They don't keep that angle as the game goes on. They just straighten it back up, and it just becomes a little bit easier to defend, I think.
A bit of a lifetime, Lorcan. We've all been taught to play the sport with weirdly straight horizontal or vertical stacks. Thompson, though, up the line. And that's one into the path of Nedic. Nice and easy, and that will be the hold coming out into the second half for Reading. There was a little gasp there, but fantastic defense, huge pressure applied near the disc.
Thompson, you got to give her all the credit for that point, keeping Reading in it. Massive defensive play, taking it on herself then on the offensive side. Of course, there were other people involved throughout, but if Reading are able to win this title, then you got to imagine that's a swing point in the match. Big layout D. After all of this pressure, that was Kovshov catching it. That was the call about whether it was up or down. I think it was a matter of did you control it when it bent down to hit the ground, because a lot of the times people don't, and that is technically down and it doesn't get called. So I can understand the call initially. That's going to be to Thompson, who just didn't stop putting in effort at any point during that entire last 2-minute spread. So excellent stuff, showing the heart to fight back into this championship. Now, do they have the grit? Because they're going to need to start cashing in these turnovers.
Well, there's a person on the glam cam there that understands a thing or two about winning medals. Cy Hill, Mr. UK Ultimate, of course, was quite the
godfather himself.
Indeed. He's had a fair few championships in his time, I think we can say that. Although my favourite Cy Hill moment came after the beach win back in 2019. That one will stay off air, but it was just a lovely time. Cook around to Halkyard. Lots of space for Max Squires. He's very poached off, but standing in a non-useful position. Now he comes through. The zone from Reading, putting Hutchison as the point alongside Lewis. That's a nice find through the middle. That sort of mullet position, just causing mischief and annoyance to their opponents. But space with loads of room here. I think there was a hesitation there from Jack Halkyard because he actually got confused by the two players coming together from his own team. Can they run it all the way down the sideline? It'd be nice to see them try and move it through and across. Now they have Denniston. Fun sail. High release backhand, love that one. Cheeky as it gets. Solid spread. Reading staying with the zone, and there is the error. Squires just getting a little bit loose there.
It was a big throw to take on. They've done so well with the shorter ones pulling apart the zone. Seems unnecessarily risky.
Hagan doesn't like the undercut from Greer, just squeezing it through, but what a poach block from Elliot Cook. Baker now. Bookends for the lad, the assist and the block, and it's Amendi with the goal.
So everybody watching at home, Greer made a fundamental error there, which is he didn't commit enough to his fake. He took a single step and then went under, which meant Cook was with him the entire way. Didn't have to turn his hips, didn't have to do anything other than just wait half a second, and he could tack under. And then Cook is such an intelligent player, he could recognize, well, by now the stall is at least at 6. I don't think this player is going to have the throwing ability and confidence against the wind to try and throw it around me to where Greer now is. So I can stay here, I can pick my spot and get this quick poach block in. So that's why you gotta throw fakes. Even if you don't get the disc, it moves the defense and creates more space for other players. Any fake that's less than 3 steps is a waste of time.
Oh, that's a bold call.
If you're a downfield cutter, if you're a handler, and even then I'm not a huge fan of this like juking and jiving, like you can earn it over the course of a game once they start respecting every step you take, or like the little stamp, and because you're just constantly attacking people's back and trying to get them to turn their hips, right?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's more the thing of the thing where it goes wrong in the close space to the Frisbee. So as you say, the handler moves, they're trying to kind of shake and bait your defender, or an isolation on the front line of the end zone, for example. That's usually where you see that kind of like back and forth action to try and wriggle free of your opponent. But it's the actual commitment. So some people will do a little bit of like a move back and forth, but they won't really commit their own hips. They won't really use that inside-outside foot push dynamic. And they just kind of try and like almost shuffle with their shoulders rather than actually using the hard work. It's like people that don't really pivot properly. No one believes you. That's why you got to put the work in the gym and keep that flexibility. Brew. Casual dish to Colicchio. Now just trying to squeeze up that line. Thompson coming around for the reset. That's a lovely disc from CJ. Brew. Again, not enjoying these Colicchio upline cuts. Well handled by Ian Tate. Of course, that was the last turnover from this particular Reading line. That's a big arcing flick. Oh, that's a great defense though underneath it. Peeling off is Ian Tate, and the flying Scotsman gets another one.
Really effective use of the poach. I think it was Nedick who actually made the crucial poach off of his man into the open space to stop the first throw, and then Tate covering on the other side.
Ah, you mean John Saville, the other 15.
I must mean.
Archer has Tate grinding underneath. Lovely inside backhand break. Opens up the arm. That's got so much under it, floating and hanging, and it's Saville on the other end of it, just about winning the speed race, and that is another break of score for Deep Space. They deliver half an hour.
Break of score, and to an extent a break of spirit. As you can see, just a little bit of the faith going out of some of the faces on the Reading players as they make their way back down. And that's a tough one. You get the disc back, you have a chance to start shortening this lead, and it winds up going in the opposite direction in just 2 points afterwards. Now it's up to 10-6. We have a look there. That's fantastic work by Tate. But working with Saville, as you were saying, using that switching, covering each other's gaps. So something that they seem to really be recognizing the longer this point goes on is where the point of attack is for Reading, and how they are using this stack setup to pretty consistently just try and attack the open side, so players have the ability to step in. Now, Brew is a fantastic thrower, and that inside-out backhand that she likes to uncork and then levels itself out for catching is great for leading past hucks. But if you're trying to get somewhere precise, it's going to be very difficult. You're trying to throw it around an incredibly tall person. It can't sit at all. That almost needed to be bladier if you were taking that shot on in the first place, which is a very, very difficult shot. So it just seems like Deep Space are starting to solve Reading's offense, and with 2 lines, one of them surely has something new. They probably have several things in the bag that they can dip into, but I think they need to switch it up offensively.
Yeah, the success rate of this D-line for Space has been very impressive. Nearly 90% of their points they're coming out on defense. They are turning Reading over at least once.
Is that like 8 out of 9 or something?
It is 8 out of 9. Good maths.
1 + 1 is 2. Quick maths.
We've had quite a few little mathematical wonders here on the live stream this weekend, Lorcan.
There we go.
Get that man on countdown.
I actually really enjoy Countdown, and it is the numbers round I much prefer to the words round. Just reveals how bad I am at spelling. I love words, I just hate their construction.
I'll have a consonant, please, Carol.
Carol Vorderman, single-handedly trying to save this country.
What a legend. We've had very few children's TV programmes, by the way, in our live chat. Just the one, sparking controversy. But we'll keep that one away from Lorcan because he might get too excited. Greer on the far sideline. Has Wilson, well handled though. Great adjustment on the mark by Nick Moss to just take that reset all the way away. They squeeze through. Hutchison. Hagan driving underneath. It's Wilson instead. Lewis. A little moment of opportunity replaced by Greer. Long. Loads of room. That one's going to be low though. An adventurous break taken on by Imi Wong. And another opportunity here for Deep Space with just over 5 minutes remaining before the time cap is applied. We're not going to get all the way to 15 perhaps. Although it depends on how much Reading can put on a late game stand. That one's going to sail high and greatly defended by Sam Wilson.
Really well done. Just winning the foot race against Moss. I'll be interested to see what Reading did. They just seemed to lack a little bit of shape as they made it into the red zone within the brick mark, the opponent's brick mark.
That's a big around. The left hand of Marius Hutchison delivers once again, and it's going to be Alex Greer with the goal on the head spike.
So something about this structure that Reading are going with, it really puts a lot of onus on your handlers to be willing to take on break throws to undercutters, and that's pretty much what happened there for the score. And you can see they're just getting forced outside a little bit, and that's where a few of the turnovers have come from. Because it really is, you're basically just playing, you're setting up games of Luke Skywalker between you and the Force, or maybe the break force drill. So then once you get that first throw off, it unlocks everything else. But if you can stymie that and keep limiting it, it's a very difficult offense to get rolling. But a big time score by Reading. You got to say, if that one had gone the other way and Deep Space had been able to cash it in, probably would have been game. But instead, Reading stopped the bleeding, close it to 10-7, which is a very manageable gap. Even with only 5 minutes left, a very manageable gap. But they need to start getting breaks now. Still without one so far into this match. And as we saw earlier, even off the stats, not a huge amount of break opportunities either.
Indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, a player who's really having an opportunity. We'll talk about Becky Thompson's impact in this game a little bit later on. Talk about someone dominating the stat line. On the other side of things, of course, unsurprisingly, Alvaro Itamendi having a great show of things as always for Deep Space. Jack Holkyard, though, really impactful, rescuing some things for Deep Space's offense when they've needed them to. But Hoagie, Connor Hogan, this is the more successful line for Reading in terms of those offensive holds, but this is going to be a defensive effort that they're going to need. No breaks yet in this match. Cauldron. Through to, oh, that's a lot of pressure applied. Conor Hogan sneaking in front.
I'm going to give that block to Hoagie.
He just swashes the cape.
He certainly gave it to himself with that celebration.
I mean...
Okay, there's going to be an isolation on Hoagie surely against Itermendi.
Sports mentality, mate, sports mentality. The break does all the work for Becky Thompson. All he has to do is jump up for it. And another assist for the number 16.
That's the nature of this offense. It's just person starting with the disc. Are you confident enough to take that breakthrough on? And if you are, there will be a lot of opportunities. And look, Becky Thompson is a confident thrower, deservedly so, and she's going to take that challenge on all the time. Massive break for Reading. And it took about 20 seconds, so maybe, we do get to 15.
So we talked about the stat line for Becky Thompson, 5 assists, 1 goal, 1 block, 2 turnovers. But Conor Hogan also having himself a pretty good time out here on the same line as Thompson.
Most animated man in the mixed division. He's a Looney Tune right now.
You can't resist clipping together a highlight package of the dude. Sometime streamer, long-time Ultimate player.
I wonder if they're gonna.
Yes, you gotta include that in the highlight. That is one of the most immaculate shots. Immaculate reception, incredible shot. Enough of a touch to dissuade Itermendi, and then takes him on the cut. Jumps in one moment and then cuts to the break side. I think everybody watching knew he was going to go to the break side with that move.
Yeah, you don't need brain cells, mate. Just muscles. Whacking yourself in the head with a disc.
Certainly his approach to life.
No, I know he had a difficult campaign last year with the Irish mixed team. He had some injuries, magical physio helping him return to the pitch, some lower leg issues. I want to say his Achilles, but clearly on fine form, full power. And that is a nice pull.
Oh, it is fantastic to see him back out there in full effect. And this zone comes out again.
I mean, why not?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of space behind the front part of it, and Deep Space already showed they can get through it.
We've neglected to say, with all of our excitement about Hoagie, the pivotal moment of that was the first break for Reading in that last point.
Very true.
We're so used to this rhythm now, this slow grinder through these points. So we see that one go just a soft scuba, and then a bladey forehand. Halkett found by Squires. Cook has plenty of room for Funsale if only she'd turn around. Oh, a little bit scoop, nice adjustment from Max Squires. That was be taken away though. Kemp with the run-through block on a loose disc.
Really nicely done. I think Deep Space got a bit too confident.
Sam Wilson, the hooter goes. It's not a buzzer beater, and it's a spoil on the far sideline. Now that would have been a way to take momentum. I can see Rachel Naden on the sideline with a hand on her head.
Why did he go trailing edge on that?
Who knows? Either way, a difficult disc to try and bring down. Maybe distraction from the hooter, I don't know, but time has officially expired. We'll play on for the rest of this point and then add 1 to the highest score. Can Reading try and grind their way back into this trailing 2 breaks to their opponents? It's a Mendy back to Halkyard and Squires. Through to Denniston. That's a beautiful backhand. Easy scenes for another on the board. Alvaro Itermendi, 5 goals now.
I think great D from Kemp, but it came from a miss throw. Right? Deep Space have that zone solved. They know exactly what to do. Itermendi is just there occupying Wilson the entire time. And then once they break through, because they're confident in their throwers, they just keep moving it around. There's space behind the handlers. If they start to stretch themselves out to cover that space, the zone I mean, then they can throw through it a lot easier. So they're using both of those tools to extend it out, as we see that throw just floats a bit more than intended, and that lets Kemp come in and get the block. But strategy-wise, they were just unlocking this the entire time. That stretches out the cup, that little uprushing handler, and then once that cup is stretched, you can go straight through it. There is an isolation in the end zone. Itermendi spends the entire point just basically occupying Wilson. Then once they break through the front of the zone, he makes an undercut to help out. He did it for Van Zyl earlier, pops it back, and then goes right back to occupying Wilson. Then Wilson can't close in on any floaty discs that go to the mid space, which means the over-the-tops remain available. And once they break through the zone, which Itermendi's very confident his team will do. It sets up an isolation. Twice Wilson was caught one-on-one in the end zone, one of the times face marking Itermendi, and luckily was looked off, but you're never going to win that matchup. So I just think they have that solved. The zone, nice try, don't do it again.
Well, certainly not if you want to try and grind down a run of breaks. Of course, though, to keep the game alive, the pressure is now on Reading to complete this one. The success rate, of course, of deep space has been good in terms of turning over this other line. We've got Thompson on, perhaps pulled across them, identifying the game that she's having. Not had too much of Kelsey Stollen out on the field, but it's Jeffrey now with the disc. Ray was separated from the defender, but it's Brown that comes underneath. Now Brew looks for that more challenging around backhand break. Thompson out in space, and that's a huge layout from Ian Tate. The foul call. Those two having a fantastic battle across the course of this match.
Seemed like Cleacho had the edge earlier on, to the point where I feel like they swapped Millard onto Cleacho because they were like, okay, maybe we'll try out somebody other than Tate. But comes right back around. Tate has been phenomenal in the second half of this game. Some big blocks, some great positioning, his energy as well. You saw him after, I think, the most recent break that Deep Space got, just screaming at his team to keep going, keep the focus up.
Well, is it going to be another D break? Another successful point for Deep Space's defence. Thompson, lovely low pivot to get that one around to Brown. Gilboy stepping off to make Brown's job even more challenging. Oh, that's such a lovely break. Really exploiting that one. The low backhand, and they hold on at least for one more. Game to 12, Space 11, Reading 9.
They're really like hitting themselves in the head with the disc, don't they?
It's like a barbarian tactic, like a war cry, like, come on!
I'm just saying, like, maybe a sports psychologist could have a quick look into that and be like, somebody need to be sectioned there. But whatever keeps you passionate, whatever keeps you going. 11-9 is a close matchup. Of course, the game buzzer has gone, so we'll be playing to 12, and Deep Space about to receive the disc. Nice breaks taken on. There was a brilliant moment of, that's the air bounce inside out backhand. I didn't appreciate that nearly enough in the moment. You know, slow motion dooms some of us, but it makes others. So it'll be interesting to see who Deep Space entrust with bringing home the title.
Well, it really has been about defense in this game. Look at the number of points where both teams have turned their opponents. And it's not like it's been a low completion rate. The O-line pass completion has been 107 for Deep Space and 97 for Reading. Which, of course, at this stage of the game, you're going to have a relatively high tally. But it's not been flooded with turnovers.
It's been, I would say, a reasonable amount of turnovers. We've had our collection of clean points, as well as some fairly turnover ones.
Oh, I mean, so we basically put all the turnovers in the beginning of the game. 2 points in a row, 4 turnovers each. But generally speaking, it's been one chance at a D, 1 chance at a recovery. But Space!
Well, here's your chance at a D.
Yeah, Space, an opportunity here now. Can Reading get a crucial clean break in the latter stages of this mixed final? They're going to need to go on a little run, even to just bring it to Universe. Lewis across the Greer. Nice high grab. Now Lewis has Kemp and Wilson spinning away to the deep space. Casual dish into the path of Lewis.
You can see Denniston just patrolling the deep space and taking assignments as they come.
Yeah, Denniston has played help quite a few times on these Reading long shots. Can they identify the big poach off? Kemp is there, but just eyes up line for Hagan to Fee Ray. Now Wilson trying to dance away from Itermendi. That's going to be a difficult read, but Greer's there to save it. Big backhand. Klima. Oh, that's so much space. Great cover from Layla Deniston's mark to deny that one for Fee Ray. It'll be a reset. Keep things simple. Wilson. Greer now replacing. Klima trying to break through. Greer coming all the way through. Nice adjustment to make that clap catch. Big man uses the frame. Van Sale underneath it, but it's a great read for Jen Hagan. And Reading are coming through in the dying moments of the mixed final. 11-10.
It's coming back, and you can see again that Reading offense so predicated by their ability to break the force. And phenomenal job by Klima to holster that throw. I don't know how she didn't wind up getting hand blocked by Deniston. Huge recovery, but I thought you get it on the break side, you turn, you see an open receiver. How don't you send it? Even that pass there, Fansale was very unlucky not to be able to take that one down. Kind of committed a little bit too much, floats over her head, but that's a hard break throw that you're taking on over a long distance, and that's what this Reading offense keeps demanding of its handlers. That's tough.
Well, beautiful read from Jen Hagan, who really came to the ascendance, played for the last ranked women's division team before she then joined the UK powerhouse of Reading Ultimate.
Bailed on her friends, eh?
I mean, it was a pickup team.
Okay, well then you can't leave a pickup team. They just end. That's not how you phrase that.
Well, we're going to stay in the action here because the tension is really starting to rise. Okay, so Coach Lorcan, get your clipboard out.
They're not making that mistake.
You're running the clipboard for Reading. You have the two-line approach. Is this the moment where you now start to say those players that are having a hot moment, the likes of Thompson, the likes of Greer, Hogan, these big players that are making big impacts in this match, do you just run them for the last couple of points and that's it?
I would have stopped several points ago. It's absolutely massive. You've got to go with your strongest. I get that there's some cohesion there, and I was thinking about it. It must be great at training where you always train with the same people you're always going to be playing with, which has got to be really, really useful. But at this point right now, and I'm not even going to disparage, there's 7 great players out there, but that's not the 7 best players Reading could put out there. And if you're not putting the 7 best players on a point where if you lose the UK Championship, then I really don't understand how this competition works.
Well, in contrast, Deep Space's leadership got together to go call a line. So they have hand-picked their 7. You've got Halkyard, you've got Naden, you've got Squires, Deniston, Koshoff, Gibson and Tate. Who would you take? I mean, it's a bold call. Who would you take off on this line for Reading right now?
I'm not saying that. What are you trying to... Like, the people in this country don't have enough reasons to not like me. I'm good. I've never once respected the name of where they're from, so...
Reading Ultimate.
You shouldn't... Why is your city named after a Garund?
Well, either way, Deep Space here, looking to try and avoid the Universe Point finish. Coming out on offense with people pulled across. Gibson and Deniston connecting via Squires. Now Halkyard has had such a fantastic game. Really on the money. And all the way we come back for the travel call. Deniston is just having a little chat about it. So a travel call here. Halkyard taking more steps than Brown is happy with.
He has very long legs, in fairness.
That's true, actually. The ape index might not be strong, but that's a great grab for Deniston, just using that speed. Halkyard, oh, something's happened there. Something bad has happened. A travel call again on Halkyard. There's no pick in the stack. Tate did all the work, but we're coming back.
I think in that regard, I'm going to have to side with Colfer and say open side under. I don't agree with that travel call. I do agree with this game going on and a potential Universe Point. So. Also, how did Tate get that free?
Well, let's have a look at the replay. Okay. Oh, that doesn't look great from the camera angle, does it? Well, we'll play on. Do it again, but better.
Glassdoor rules. Do it again. Send it back, do it again.
Make it more spectacular. That was a very boring way to finish off our mixed championship final here at UK Nationals 2024. Low, but well held for Denniston. Now it's Gibson. Dishes off and away for Tate. Denniston. He's got the height mismatch, can throw pretty much whatever she wants. I say that. And McLeaner, of course, extremely springy, incapable of blocking pretty much anything she wants. Right, Gibson. Through to Hulkyard. Taking these negative yards much further away from the pitch than they were before. Gibson, throws into the floor, and a clap of frustration.
You make them throw, it's death by 1,000 throws. And they did a fantastic job of limiting the options in the end zone, pushing them just a little bit further out and eventually waiting for that mistake to come.
Perhaps a bit too much conservatism there from deep space. Hogan is going to potentially take on the shot. No. Through to Nedic. Nice and conservative for Reading's own attempt to bring us to universe point finish. Hagan now. Wilson just peeling away. It's a lovely one. It's going to have to be backed up by Hogan. Things surprisingly quiet on the sidelines. A few voices ascending above the noise. Oh my goodness, what an interesting choice that was from Sam Wilson. And by interesting, I mean
dubious. Look, you said you wanted more high-flying action to end out this game. Those are the kind of shots that are going to bring it on.
Well, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it a little bit. Joe Brown was free, but of the people on the pitch right now, is it Sam Wilson you want making that shot? Came out real bladey. As we see Gibson scuffle to the sideline and just stay in bounds. Oh, a nice break. Love that inside. Slightly risky, but of course, Denniston on the other side of it, you don't mind. Tate now. Off he goes towards the end zone. Gibson spots the pick. Well, I tell you what, coming into the second half, we weren't necessarily expecting this level of excitement to close us off, but
we were definitely hoping for it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, based on previous historic results, it's what should happen. Of course, Deep Space bested Reading last time 10-9. They bested them in the Elite Invite 12-11. Tate rising high, dishing back to Halkyard. Denniston or Koshoff, which of the two? It's Koshoff. Oh, but that's a bit of a spoil there. Denniston closes those two fingers, but the disc has other ideas. Too much momentum, and it dribbles to the floor. Now Thompson, Hogan, massive miss, but great spice on the defense. Gibson with the smart post. Now taking on two players, has Wilson. Strip call.
Poach led to a mismatch, so right now Ian Tate is marking Thompson, and I think Gibson's obviously switched on to Wilson.
Nedic, as they change the personnel assignments. Tate coming through, but Hagan has Hogan. Oh my goodness, that was a great catch under duress. Connor Hogan shoots for the end zone, and that's going to be good for Joe Brown. We are going to universe, folks.
Incredible. And I think Hogan made two under pressure catches. Kovshov went for the layout didn't go for the layout on the first one. If he laid out, he would have got it. The second time, he tries to go for the layout. Hogan more than ready for it, using that frame to just say, you've got literally no chance. You'd have better chance of jumping over a caravan than you have of getting around Connor Hogan's shoulders.
Well, we do have an injury on the field. One of the players trying to deny that beautiful throw from Connor Hogan. I mean, there was a decent amount of traffic swirling around Joe Brown. I could see the window of opportunity, that flash of the white shirt. I'm not sure who it is that's currently just getting a little bit of attention from our staff, but we will try and bring you that information as soon as we have it. Well, that is Rachel Naden that's taken the knock. Hopefully she will be okay. Of course, that would be a big loss for all of Great Britain if she's She's coming off the pitch with support from partner Rolich, who himself is returning to play.
And right
But
now,
let's focus on the game.
Circle up. That is a successful score. I do really briefly want to follow up on what you said. That window was about as small as they get. It was like on a doghouse, and Conor Hogan threw it through. So incredible throw. Now, Deep Space come out on offense. They have given up 2 breaks in a row. Reading are on a 3-point run right now, in which they've only turned the disc over once. So tightening up that offense as well. What is interesting now is the conversation they have. Deep Space put out what you've got to imagine is about as strong a line as they can. Do you just run that back when things went wrong? I mean, went wrong or not, Ian Tate almost won the championship by catching the disc, but it did have to go back, and if you're good, you should be able to do it twice. What I am curious about is I assume Reading will stick with their structure. If you are Reading and you're on a universe point, starting on D with a chance to win the game, and you have but don't use both Conor Hogan and Andy Lewis, I struggle to get my head around that.
I think you might be wrong, Lorcan, by virtue of the fact that they've been running the system, they've been keeping the lines in their iterations, and what has it delivered them in the later stages of this game? 3 points on the trot, 2 of them breaks, and of course that means if they're running line to line to line to line, A and B, rotating it through truly, that's 1 break for each. So this is not only for a championship final, it's for bragging rights, and it's for the fact that you've just sat on the sidelines watching your teammates go and do great things. I think if that's your strategy across the whole championship, you've got to go for it. You've got Andy Lewis on the line anyway, because this is his cluster of folks.
But you don't have Thompson, you don't have Colicchio, you don't have Hogan.
But you do have Wilson, you do have... Wait,
you don't have Brew.
We might have Brown coming on for a 2nd point in a row, you know, so maybe they have left the system behind. Maybe it's all a ploy.
I did want to say one quick thing, which was, if I didn't like being proven wrong, I would have stopped doing this a very long time ago.
Absolutely. Well, Deep Space looking to try and stay in front in this game. They put that lead early and have maintained all along, but Reading now starting to come back and try and put daylight and take that final step at the tape. Squires has it to Mendy, and plenty of room on the underneath, matched up with Wilson. Now around again, Caudron, but that's a huge find on the far side. Big poach off from Andy Lewis from Jack Halkyard. Thinks about it, dish to Caudron. It's of course her former club as well. Now opponents, Denniston. Cook racing away, lovely leader for Caudron. Itamendi just keeping things simple with the stack. Breakthrough to Squires. Red zone offense. Can the Red Shorts give the stand of their careers? Of course, they've had so many, but that's going to be a beautiful goal into the path of Claire Baker. And Deep Space are your UK mixed champions for 2024. What a game, what a comeback from Reading, but it was not quite enough.
Dump and swing. It's the key. We've seen it used to great effect, well, throughout the history of Ultimate, really, but a lot of the breaks that Deep Space took on in that game, or in that final point, were just straight down the line, 180-degree breaks. And a lot of that is just from getting the timing early and knowing where your cut is coming from. Really showing how in tune they are, how versatile they are. They can move through all kinds of players, all kinds of skill sets. But that was just a grind it down, fundamental, take care of business. Universe point, flawless offensive hold for what you have to say after that kind of a performance. A brilliant final and a deserving champion. They have defended their UK title. You got to assume with the rankings and how it all shakes out that they're definitely going to Euros, where they will look to defend their European title as well.
That is something we actually have neglected to mention very much. Of course, these teams have both elected to use the UK National Championship towards their overall points for the European season, currently sitting a little bit into the midst of the pack. Deep Space 6th position in Europe, and Reading Ultimate down in 11th. But that was a little bit different than the expected scoreline as the almighty algorithm had it, but I think the big statement here, defense really coming to the fore in the final, because the holds in this game were but few. Of the total 23 points scored, how many would you guess before we show you? How many would you guess were clean, Lorcan?
I'm going to give a couple of seconds for people to guess themselves, and then I'm going to go with 5.
He's too good, ladies and gentlemen. It was indeed 5 clean holds across the course of this match. 3 for Deep Space, 2 for Reading. So these teams going toe-to-toe throughout the course of the season, but at the end of it all, Deep Space just nudging that little bit in front. 12-11. Your mixed division champions and our final finalists here today. Credits to both teams, but thank you so much for joining our coverage here at UK Nationals. Thank you so much to all of our hard-working operators in the production crew, and thank you to you for tuning in. We will see you again soon on the other side.
Thanks.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.